The desperate gamble. The council chamber of the Galactic Coalition was vast, its walls lined with glowing panels displaying holograms of star systems. But the grandeur of the room was overshadowed by the grim atmosphere. The coalition leaders, representing dozens of alien species, sat in their assigned seats, their expressions ranging from anger to despair. The war was not going well. Grand Chancellor Virek, an imposing figure with a crown of silver horns, slammed a fist onto the polished table. Another fleet lost. Our colonies are falling one by one. At this rate, we will not survive the next cycle. Across the table, Ambassador Cyrex, a slender figure with translucent skin, spoke up. We cannot continue this war with the same strategies. The enemy is too powerful, too relentless. We need a solution, something bold, something unprecedented. The room erupted into chaotic debate. Suggestions were thrown around. Fortifying defenses, forming alliances, even surrender. But none seemed plausible. The enemy, known only as the Wraith, had superior numbers, advanced technology, and an unyielding thirst for conquest. It was then that a voice, quiet but firm, cut through the noise. There is one option we have yet to consider. The speaker was Dr. Lyra Vex, a Celtran scientist known for her unconventional methods. Her small frame and delicate features belied the intensity in her glowing violet eyes. As the room fell silent, all attention turned to her. What option? Virek asked, his tone skeptical. Lyra took a deep breath. Revive the humans. The statement hung in the air like a thunderclap. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the chamber erupted into shouts of disbelief and outrage. Are you mad? Roared General Corrin, his reptilian scales bristling. Humans were wiped out centuries ago for a reason. They were dangerous, uncontrollable. They were warriors, Lyra countered. Fierce, ingenious, and adaptable. The Wraith fear nothing, but humans were the one species they hesitated to engage. If we bring them back, we might stand a chance. Ambassador Cyrex leaned forward, her voice cautious. Even if we wanted to, is such a thing possible? Humans have been extinct for over 2 centuries. Lyra nodded. It is possible. My team has been working in secret on advanced genetic reconstruction. We have preserved human DNA from the archives. With our technology, we can bring them back, not as they were, but better, stronger. The room fell into uneasy silence. The idea was both tantalizing and terrifying. Chancellor Virek narrowed his eyes. And what happens if these humans turn against us? We've all heard the stories of their wars, their insatiable hunger for dominance. If we unleash them, we may trade one enemy for another. Lyra's voice softened, almost pleading. I understand your fears, but we are out of time. The Wraith will not stop until we are all annihilated. Humans are our last hope. Without them, the coalition is doomed. The room buzzed with whispered conversations. Some council members nodded reluctantly, while others remained visibly opposed. Finally, Ambassador Cyrex spoke again. If we do this, we must have strict safeguards in place. The humans must fight under our command. They cannot be allowed to act independently. Lyra hesitated for a fraction of a second before nodding. Agreed. They will serve the coalition, nothing more. General Corrin snarled but did not argue further. Chancellor Virek stood, his towering figure commanding silence. Very well, he said slowly. We will proceed with this gamble. But understand this, Dr. Vex. If this experiment fails, the consequences will fall squarely on you. Lyra inclined her head, her expression resolute. I accept the responsibility. In the weeks that followed, Lyra's team worked tirelessly in a hidden laboratory on the barren moon of Kelveris. Rows of advanced cryopods lined the facility, each one containing the reconstructed form of a human soldier. The process was painstaking, blending ancient DNA with cutting-edge enhancements. As the first pod hissed open, Lyra stood frozen, her breath caught in her throat. The figure inside was tall, muscular, and unmistakably human. The soldier's eyes flickered open, revealing a piercing blue gaze filled with confusion. And something else. "Where am I?" the soldier rasped, his voice rough from disuse. Lyra stepped forward cautiously. "You're safe. You've been brought back to help us win a war." The soldier's gaze sharpened. "A war? Who are we fighting?" Lyra hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "An enemy that threatens us all. You are humanity's last hope, and ours." The soldier's expression hardened. "Then let's not waste time." As more soldiers were revived, whispers spread throughout the coalition. The humans were back, and the galaxy held its breath. The gamble had begun. Awakening the legends. The hidden laboratory on the moon of Kelveris buzzed with activity. Scientists, technicians, and military officials moved with purpose, their alien forms lit by the cold blue glow of cryopods. Inside each pod lay a human, their forms suspended in a state between death and life. The project had reached its most critical phase, reviving humanity's most formidable warriors. Dr. Lyra Vex stood at the control console, her hands trembling slightly. Despite her confidence during the council meeting, doubts gnawed at her. Could this really work? Would the revived humans fight for them, or would they become a greater threat than the Kraith? "Pod 1 is ready for activation," announced a technician, his voice breaking Lyra's reverie. She nodded, her violet eyes fixed on the first pod. The translucent cover began to hiss open, releasing a cloud of freezing mist. Slowly, the figure inside came into view. A tall, muscular human with short, dark hair and scars that hinted at battles long forgotten. The man's chest rose and fell with shallow breaths, and his eyes fluttered open. Icy blue irises locked onto Lyra, sharp and calculating. "Where am I?" the man rasped, his voice hoarse but steady. Lyra stepped forward, her tone calm but authoritative. "You're on Kelveris, a moon of the Coalition. You've been revived to help us fight a war. Do you remember your name?" The man blinked, his gaze narrowing as fragments of memory resurfaced. "Captain Elias. Kane. Earthborn Infantry. Last mission." His voice trailed off, confusion clouding his face. Lyra hesitated, then spoke gently. "Earth is gone, Captain. Humanity fell over 2 centuries ago, but your skills are needed once more. The galaxy faces an enemy that could destroy us all." Kane's expression hardened. "What enemy?" "The Kraith," Lyra said, "a relentless force that has crushed world after world. The Coalition is losing, and without you, without your kind, we won't survive." Kane sat up, his movements deliberate. He scanned the room, taking in the alien faces and advanced equipment. "You brought me back for a war." His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. "What's the plan?" Lyra exhaled in relief. "You'll be briefed soon. For now, rest and regain your strength." As the hours passed, more humans were revived. Each one was different, some quiet and contemplative, others loud and defiant. But they all shared one thing, a natural air of command, as if war was ingrained in their very being. One by one, the soldiers were brought to the training arena, a massive simulation chamber designed to test their combat abilities. The Coalition officials watched from an observation deck, their faces a mix of awe and unease. In the arena, Kane led a group of 5 humans through a live simulation against Kraith holograms. The humans moved like a pack of wolves, coordinated, precise, and ruthless. While the Coalition forces relied on advanced technology and numbers, the humans relied on instinct and adaptability. "They're incredible," murmured General Corrin, his scaly jaw tightening. "Too incredible. If they turn on us, we'll have no way to stop them." Lyra, standing nearby, didn't respond. She was too focused on the display below. The humans were exceeding her expectations, but the tension in the air was palpable. The Coalition leaders had gambled everything on this project, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Later that evening, Kane, and a few other humans were brought to a secure briefing room. Lyra and General Corrin stood before them, a holographic map of the galaxy projected behind them. Corrin began, his voice gruff. Your first mission is a critical one. The Kraith have established a forward base near the Daler Nebula. It's a key staging ground for their invasion fleet. You will lead a strike team to destroy it. One of the soldiers, a red-haired woman named Sergeant Vega, crossed her arms. And why should we risk our lives for your war? Last I checked, humanity got wiped out while the rest of you watched. The room went silent. Lyra stepped forward, her voice firm. I understand your anger, but this is bigger than revenge. If the Kraith win, there will be nothing left. Not for you, not for us, not for anyone. This is a chance to fight for survival, for a future. Kane studied her for a moment, then nodded. We'll do it, but if we're risking everything, we expect answers about what happened to Earth and why humanity was left to die. Lyra hesitated, then gave a solemn nod. You'll have your answers, but first, we need to win this war. As the humans prepared for their first mission, the Coalition watched with bated breath. The gamble had paid off so far, but the true test was yet to come. Would these resurrected warriors save the galaxy, or become its greatest threat? First encounter. The Coalition's stealth cruiser, Eclipser, glided silently through the vast expanse of the Daler Nebula. Its matte black hull blended seamlessly with the swirling cosmic clouds, making it nearly invisible to the enemy sensors. On board, a team of revived human soldiers prepared for their first mission, a daring strike against a heavily fortified Kraith forward base. Captain Elias Kane stood at the head of the cramped briefing room, his sharp blue eyes scanning his team. The 5 soldiers under his command were a mix of specialists, each handpicked for their unique skills during the revival process. All right, Kane began, his voice calm but firm. This is a surgical strike. Our mission is to infiltrate the Kraith base, plant demolition charges, and get out before their reinforcements arrive. Fast and quiet. No heroics. Sergeant Vega, the team's demolitions expert, smirked. Fast and quiet? Not really humanity's style, is it? A ripple of laughter spread through the team, but Kane's expression remained serious. This isn't a joke, Vega. If we fail, the Coalition's fleet will be walking into an ambush. Stick to the plan, and we'll all get out alive. Vega raised her hands in mock surrender. All right, Captain. No heroics. Got it. Dr. Lyra Vex, who had insisted on accompanying the team, stepped forward. Remember, the Kraith are not like the enemies you faced in your time. They're relentless, adaptive, and utterly ruthless. Do not underestimate them. Kane nodded. We won't. The Eclipser docked on the shadowy side of an asteroid orbiting the Kraith base. Using the asteroid as cover, the team deployed in a small dropship, its engines emitting barely a whisper as it descended toward the enemy installation. The base itself was a sprawling structure of blackened metal and glowing red lights, nestled within the asteroid field like a predator in its lair. Kraith ships patrolled the perimeter, their sleek forms bristling with weaponry. Visual on the base, Kane said over the comms, his voice steady. Everyone, stay sharp. We're in their backyard now. The dropship landed in a shadowed crevice near a maintenance hatch. The team disembarked quickly, their movements precise and silent. Inside the base, the air was cold and sterile, filled with the faint hum of machinery. The team moved through the dimly lit corridors, their weapons drawn and senses heightened. Kane led the way, his instincts honed from countless battles in another era. Motion detectors clear, murmured Corporal Singh, the team's tech specialist. No sign of Kraith patrols yet. Yet, Vega muttered under her breath. The group reached a junction where the corridors split into 3 directions. Kane studied the holographic map on his wrist. Singh, take Vega and cover the eastern wing. Plant charges on their power generators. Rourke, stay with me. We'll handle the command center. Lyra, stay here and monitor comms. Lyra frowned, but nodded. Be careful. If the Kraith catch you, they won't show mercy. Kane gave her a tight smile. They'll have to catch us first. Singh and Vega moved swiftly through the eastern wing, their movements synchronized despite the alien architecture of the base. They reached the power generators without incident, the massive machines pulsing with energy. This is it, Singh said, pulling out a compact charge. Set these to go off in 5 minutes. That should give us enough time to exfiltrate. As they worked, Vega's sharp eyes caught a flicker of movement in the shadows. She froze, her hand going to her weapon. Singh, we've got company. A Kraith soldier stepped into the dim light, its towering frame covered in jagged black armor. Its glowing red eyes locked onto them, and with a guttural snarl, it charged. Meanwhile, Kane and Rourke reached the command center. The room was filled with glowing consoles and holographic displays showing the Kraith fleet's movements. Rourke began planting charges along the structural supports while Kane kept watch. Charges are set, Rourke whispered. Before Kane could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. Red lights bathed the room as a mechanical voice echoed in the alien tongue. They know we're here, Kane said, his jaw tightening. Time to move. In the eastern wing, Vega and Singh were locked in combat. The Kraith soldier was relentless, its armored form shrugging off several shots before finally collapsing under a well-placed explosive round. That wasn't quiet, Singh muttered, panting. Yeah, well, he wasn't listening. Vega shot back. Let's move. The team regrouped at the rendezvous point, but their path to the dropship was blocked by a squad of Kraith reinforcements. Kane's mind raced. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but retreat wasn't an option. Vega, smoke cover. Rourke, take point. Everyone else, suppressive fire. The humans fought with brutal efficiency, their tactics honed by centuries of warfare. The Kraith were strong, but the humans were cunning, using the environment to their advantage. As the last of the charges detonated, a massive explosion rocked the base. Fire and debris erupted behind the team as they sprinted to the dropship. On board the Eclipser, Lyra watched the base collapse from the observation deck. The humans stumbled into the ship, bruised and bloodied but alive. Kane collapsed into a seat, his face grim. First mission, and they already know we're coming. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. They'll know more than that soon enough. The galaxy will learn what it means to awaken humanity. As the Eclipser jumped into hyperspace, the Kraith would undoubtedly regroup. But the Coalition had made its move, and the humans had proven they were ready for the fight. Fear in the enemy's eyes. Deep within the heart of the Kraith command ship, Supreme Commander Forex stood before a massive holographic display. The towering alien exuded an aura of control, his crimson eyes glowing faintly in the dimly lit chamber. Around him, his advisors, smaller but no less fearsome, exchanged nervous glances. The destruction of the forward base was an unthinkable setback. Forex had personally overseen its defenses, confident it was impenetrable. Yet it had fallen within hours, leaving only fragments of the Kraith garrison and garbled transmission logs behind. Play the recording, Forex ordered, his deep voice rumbling through the room. The hologram shifted, showing the final minutes of the base's collapse. The recording was from the perspective of a Kraith soldier, his body cam capturing the chaos. The towering alien figures of the Kraith charged into battle, but were systematically dismantled by smaller, faster beings, humans. The humans moved with a precision and ferocity that unnerved even Forex. They used cover masterfully, exploited every weakness, and showed no hesitation in taking lives. The video ended with a blinding explosion as the base was obliterated. Humans, one of the advisors hissed, his voice trembling. They are supposed to be extinct. Forex turned to face the group, his expression unreadable. Not extinct. Revived. And weaponized. Aboard the Coalition cruiser Eclipser, Captain Elias Kane sat in the dimly lit debriefing room with his team. Their first mission had been a success, But it had come at a cost. Each of them bore new scars, some visible, others buried deep within. "We got lucky," Kane said, breaking the silence. "They weren't expecting us. Next time, they will." Sergeant Vega leaned back in her chair, her arms crossed. "Let them come. We'll show them what humans can do." Dr. Lyra Vex, who had been silently reviewing the mission footage, finally spoke. "This isn't about proving ourselves. The Kraith will retaliate, and when they do, it will be brutal. You've rattled them, but that fear will make them dangerous." Rourke, the team's sniper, nodded grimly. "Fear is a double-edged sword. If they're scared enough, they'll throw everything at us." Kane met Lyra's gaze. "What's the Coalition's next move? Do we press the attack or fall back?" Lyra hesitated before answering. "The Council wants to use you to strike at key targets, but they're also terrified of what you represent." "What we represent?" Vega scoffed. "We're their last hope." Lyra sighed. "You're also a reminder of humanity's power. Power they couldn't control before, and might not be able to now." Far away, on the bridge of a Kraith warship, Commander Forex paced. Reports from scouts confirmed the destruction of the forward base and the presence of humans. The word spread like wildfire through the ranks. Fear took root in even the most seasoned warriors. Humans had once been legends of terror among the Kraith, stories told to scare new recruits, tales of their relentless tactics, their refusal to surrender, and their unmatched ingenuity in war. Now, those legends had become reality. Vorex's second-in-command, Xalrex, approached cautiously. "What is your command, Supreme Commander?" Forex paused, staring out at the swirling stars. "Send word to all fleets. Prepare for a full mobilization. If the humans have returned, we must crush them before they regain their strength." Xalrex hesitated. "And if we cannot crush them?" Forex's crimson eyes burned brighter. "Then we must destroy the Coalition before the humans rally it. Fear cannot be allowed to fester." On the Eclipser, the humans prepared for their next mission. The mood was tense but determined. Kane gathered his team for one final briefing before they jumped into hyperspace. "Our mission isn't just about blowing up Kraith bases," Kane said, his tone serious. "It's about showing the galaxy what humanity is capable of. We were brought back for a reason. Let's make sure the Kraith never forget why they feared us in the first place." The team responded with a resounding "Yes, sir." As the Eclipser jumped into hyperspace, heading for their next target, the Kraith's fear began to ripple through the galaxy. It was no longer just a war between species. It was a battle to determine who would shape the future of the stars. The humans had returned, and their enemies had every reason to be afraid. The tides of war. The Kraith homeworld, Loch Varys, was a fortress planet. Massive orbital defenses circled its surface, each bristling with enough firepower to repel entire fleets. On the planet's surface, colossal citadels rose from the blackened ground, their spires piercing the sky like jagged claws. It was here that Supreme Commander Forex had summoned his war council. Seated around the circular table were the most ruthless minds in the Kraith military. Each bore the scars of countless battles, their alien forms radiating a mix of authority and unease. "The humans are no longer a myth," Forex began, his crimson eyes sweeping the room. "They have returned, and they have chosen to stand against us." One of the generals, a hulking figure with a scared faceplate, leaned forward. "Supreme Commander, their numbers are few. A coordinated assault could wipe them out before they become a real threat." Another general, smaller but no less imposing, shook his head. "Underestimating humans was our ancestors' mistake. They're dangerous not because of their numbers but because of their adaptability. If we attack recklessly, we could fall into their traps." Forex raised a hand, silencing the debate. "We cannot afford to wait for them to grow stronger. But we will not act blindly either. We must study them, learn their weaknesses, and strike with precision. They have shaken our forces with fear. Let us turn that fear against them." Aboard the Eclipser, Captain Elias Kane stood in the strategy room, studying a holographic projection of their next target, a Kraith supply convoy. It was a vital lifeline for the Kraith fleet, transporting fuel, weapons, and reinforcements to the front lines. Disrupting it would cripple their operations. Kane's team gathered around him, their expressions serious but focused. "Intel says the convoy is heavily guarded," Kane said. "We'll have to hit them fast and hard before they can call for reinforcements." Sergeant Vega smirked. "Sounds like my kind of mission." Dr. Lyra, vexed, standing near the edge of the room, interjected. "This isn't just about destroying their supplies. We need to send a message. The Kraith must see that humanity is not just a threat, but an unstoppable force." Kane nodded. "Agreed. We'll leave them a reminder of who we are." The Eclipser dropped out of hyperspace near the convoy's route, using the cover of a nearby asteroid field to remain undetected. The Kraith ships were massive, their sleek forms bristling with weapons and flanked by smaller escorts. Singh, the team's tech specialist, monitored the enemy's communications from his console. "They're running tight formations. If we can take out their lead ship, the rest of the convoy will fall into disarray." "Then that's our target," Kane said. "Vega, Rourke, you're with me. Singh, disable their comms once we're in position." The dropship launched from the Eclipser, weaving through the asteroid field with practiced precision. As they approached the lead Kraith ship, Kane's team prepared for the assault. On board the Kraith flagship, Commander Xalrex oversaw the convoy's movements from the command deck. His crimson eyes scanned the holographic displays, his instincts honed from decades of war. Something felt wrong. "Report," Xalrex barked. One of the officers hesitated. "No anomalies detected, Commander. The convoy is proceeding as planned." Before Xalrex could respond, the ship's sensors lit up with alerts. A human dropship burst from the asteroid field, its weapons blazing. The first shots disabled the flagship's engines, sending it drifting. "Humans." Xalrex snarled, his claws gripping the edge of the console. "All ships, prepare for battle." Kane's team stormed the flagship's hangar, their movements precise and coordinated. Kraith soldiers poured in to defend the ship, but the humans fought with a ferocity that overwhelmed the alien defenders. Vega's demolitions expertise came into play as she planted charges on key structural points. Rourke, the sniper, picked off Kraith soldiers from a vantage point, while Kane led the charge toward the command deck. The battle was brutal and chaotic, but the humans' determination was unyielding. On the command deck, Xalrex prepared to repel the intruders personally. The door exploded inward, and Kane stepped through, his weapon trained on the Kraith commander. "You should have stayed in the shadows, human," Xalrex growled. "And you should have stayed out of our way," Kane retorted. The two clashed in a fierce fight, their skills evenly matched. Xalrex's brute strength met Kane's agility and cunning. The fight ended with Kane delivering a devastating blow, leaving Xalrex incapacitated. "Your fear is justified," Kane said coldly, standing over the defeated commander. The charges detonated as Kane's team escaped, leaving the flagship in ruins. The remaining convoy ships scattered, their formation broken. As the Eclipser jumped to safety, Lyra turned to Kane. "You've done more than disrupt their supplies. You've shown the galaxy that humanity is not to be trifled with." Kane's gaze hardened. "This is just the beginning. They wanted a war. Now they'll see what humans are capable of." The Kraith forces were left reeling, their confidence shattered. The tides of war were shifting, and humanity's resurgence had become the galaxy's most dangerous reality. Shadows of resistance. The Kraith High Council convened in the Citadel of Stars, their war room dimly lit by the glow of countless star charts. Each hologram displayed troubling reports: crippled supply lines, shattered outposts, and whispers of human resurgence spreading like wildfire through the galaxy. Supreme Commander Forex stood at the head of the council table, his presence dominating the room. Despite his towering figure and air of command, his advisors could sense the tension in his voice. "This is no ordinary resistance," Forex growled. "The humans fight with a ferocity that defies logic. Every engagement ends with their survival, no matter the odds." One of the counselors, an elder with dulled crimson eyes, spoke up. "Perhaps it is not their strength we should fear, but the effect they have on others. The galaxy watches, and their defiance inspires rebellion in our occupied territories." Another counselor, younger and more aggressive, slammed a clawed hand on the table. "Then we must crush them swiftly, hunt down their fleets, exterminate their forces, and erase their influence before it spreads further." Forex nodded. "Agreed. But to defeat them, we must think as they do. Unpredictable. Ruthless. Relentless." Aboard the Eclipser, the human team prepared for their next mission in silence. The exhilaration of their victories was tempered by the weight of their growing reputation. Captain Kane stood in the strategy room with Dr. Lyra Vex and the rest of the team. A new hologram floated above the table, a Kraith-controlled factory world producing weapons and ships at an alarming rate. "This is our next target," Kane said, his tone firm. "The Coalition believes that if we take out this planet's production facilities, it will buy us time to strengthen our position." Sergeant Vega leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "What's the catch?" Lyra adjusted the hologram, zooming in on the planet's defenses. "The factory is surrounded by orbital platforms and patrolled by an entire fleet. Getting in will be near impossible. Getting out, even less likely." "Sounds like fun," Vega said with a smirk. Singh, the tech specialist, frowned. "This isn't just about strategy anymore. The Kraith are starting to adapt. They'll be expecting us." Kane nodded. "That's why we're going to do the unexpected." The Eclipser emerged from hyperspace on the edge of the factory world system, hidden by the glare of a nearby star. Using advanced stealth technology, the ship slipped past the initial defenses, positioning itself close to the orbital platforms. Kane's plan was audacious: infiltrate the planet's surface, sabotage the factory, and plant false intelligence to mislead the Kraith about the humans' next move. It was a dangerous gamble, but the element of surprise was their only advantage. The team descended to the surface in a stolen Kraith transport, their movements precise and silent. The factory was a sprawling complex of metal and fire, with towering smokestacks belching fumes into the atmosphere. Thousands of Kraith workers and soldiers moved through the facility, oblivious to the human infiltration. Inside the factory, the team split up. Sane hacked into the mainframe, planting false coordinates for an upcoming human strike. Vega and Rourke set explosive charges on critical machinery, while Kane and Lyra scouted the facility's command center. As they moved through the shadows, Lyra spoke softly. "Every mission like this brings us closer to their full attention. We're playing a dangerous game." Kane's gaze was steely. "They started this war. We're just finishing it." But as they approached the command center, alarms blared across the complex. The Kraith had detected their presence. The factory erupted into chaos as Kraith soldiers swarmed the facility. The humans fought with unmatched precision, using their surroundings to outmaneuver their enemies. Vega's explosives detonated, throwing the Kraith into disarray. In the command center, Kane and Lyra faced off against a Kraith officer, a towering brute who fought with a combination of strength and cunning. The battle was brutal, but Kane's agility and Lyra's quick thinking gave them the upper hand. Singh's voice crackled over the comms. "The data's planted, but we've got company, lots of it. Extraction's going to be tricky." "Hold your position," Kane ordered. "We're on our way." The team regrouped at the transport, fighting their way through waves of Kraith soldiers. The explosions had crippled the factory, but the Kraith fleet was closing in fast. As they lifted off, the Eclipser provided covering fire, blasting the orbital platforms and clearing a path for the transport. The humans escaped just as the factory world erupted in flames, the destruction visible even from space. Back on the Eclipser, the team regrouped in the strategy room. Their victory was significant, but the mood was somber. Lyra studied the data they had retrieved. The Kraith won't fall for this trick twice. They'll be hunting us relentlessly now. Kane nodded. Good. Let them come. The more resources they spend chasing us, the less they have to control the galaxy. The tides of resistance were growing stronger. Humanity's defiance was no longer just a threat. It was a beacon of hope for the galaxy. And with every mission, the shadows of resistance grew darker, deeper, and more dangerous. Wrath unleashed. The Kraith had underestimated humanity for the last time. Their mistakes had cost them factories, fleets, and the fearsome aura they had once commanded across the galaxy. But now, Supreme Commander Forix was done playing cautious. On Loktheris, the heart of the Kraith Empire, Vorik stood before the massive war assembly. Thousands of soldiers, battle-ready and eager for vengeance, filled the Citadel of Stars. The Supreme Commander's voice boomed through the chamber. The humans think they are invincible. Forix roared. They think their tactics and rebellion will bring us to our knees. But today, we end their defiance. Today, the galaxy will witness our wrath. Aboard the Eclipser, Captain Kane stared at the holographic projection of Loktheris. The planet was the Kraith's most fortified stronghold, protected by fleets, orbital defenses, and an atmosphere thick with ionized storms. Dr. Lyra Vex stood beside him, her arms crossed. Attacking Loktheris is suicidal. Even with everything we've achieved, this isn't a fight we can win. That's the point, Kane replied, his tone grim. The Kraith think we won't dare. That's why we have to. Sergeant Vega, standing nearby, grinned. Finally, we get to take the fight to their doorstep. It's about time. Singh looked up from his console, concern etched on his face. You realize this is a one-way mission, right? If we're caught, there's no escape. Kane's expression hardened. We've made our choice. Humanity survives because we fight. If we can strike a blow so devastating that it shakes their empire to its core, then it's worth the risk. The plan was audacious. Infiltrate Loktheris, plant a series of high-yield explosives at key military installations, and destroy the planetary defense grid. With the grid down, the Coalition fleet, still hesitant to commit to all-out war, would have no choice but to act. The Eclipser used every ounce of its stealth capabilities to slip past the Kraith fleets. As they approached Loktheris, the ship's cloaking systems strained under the planet's harsh atmospheric conditions. Hold it together, Singh, Kane said, gripping the armrests of his chair. Easy for you to say, Singh muttered, furiously working the controls. I'm the one keeping this bucket from frying. They made it through, landing undetected on the outskirts of a massive Kraith military complex. The team donned their gear, their faces set with determination. Inside the complex, the atmosphere was tense. Kraith soldiers patrolled in tight formations, their movements sharp and disciplined. The humans moved like ghosts, using their superior tactics and agility to stay one step ahead. As they reached the first target, a power station feeding the planetary defense grid, Vega planted charges while Singh hacked into the system. The team worked quickly, knowing every second increased the risk of detection. The first explosion rocked the complex, sending fire and debris into the sky. Alarms blared and chaos erupted as Kraith soldiers scrambled to respond. Kane's team moved to the next target, their path now fraught with danger. The Kraith had mobilized, and the humans found themselves in the heart of a rapidly escalating war zone. In the command center of Loktheris, Supreme Commander Forix watched the destruction unfold on a massive display. His claws dug into the armrests of his throne as he barked orders. Deploy all forces. Seal every exit. The humans will not leave this planet alive. His officers hurried to comply, but despite their efforts, the humans continued their assault. Each explosion brought down another critical piece of infrastructure, further destabilizing the Kraith's control. The final target was the Planetary Defense Control Center. Reaching it required the team to fight through waves of Kraith soldiers. The battle was brutal and relentless, but Kane and his team pushed forward, their determination unwavering. As they entered the control center, a squad of elite Kraith warriors awaited them. The fight that followed was the most intense the team had faced, every second a test of their skill and resilience. Kane faced off against a towering Kraith commander, their battle a clash of strength and strategy. Vega and Rourke worked together to hold off the remaining warriors, while Singh and Lyra worked to plant the final charges. The charges were set, and the team began their escape, but their path was blocked by a massive force of Kraith reinforcements. Outnumbered and outgunned, the humans fought with everything they had, their survival seeming impossible. Just as the situation grew dire, the Eclipser appeared, its weapons blazing. The ship provided covering fire, allowing the team to reach their extraction point. As they lifted off, the final charges detonated, sending a shockwave across Lokveris. The planetary defense grid collapsed, leaving the Kraith capital exposed for the first time in centuries. In orbit, the Coalition fleet, inspired by the humans' audacity, moved in to attack. The battle for Lokveris had begun, and humanity's defiance had sparked a fire that would consume the Kraith Empire. Aboard the Eclipser, Kane looked at his team, battered but alive. "This isn't just a victory," he said. "This is a message. The galaxy knows now. Humanity doesn't just survive. We fight, and we win." As the Eclipser disappeared into hyperspace, the galaxy braced for the final act of a war that would change everything.